Welcome back to ETF.com University, where we demystify the world of ETFs. My name is Dave Nottig, Managing Director here at ETF.com. So far we've talked about a lot of the internal nuts and bolts of ETFs, but today we're going to kick off a mini-series with our How to Choose an ETF section. Today we're going to discuss the basic due diligence you should do as an investor. And our next three videos will take a deeper look into all of the metrics you can find here at ETF.com in three areas: efficiency, tradability, and fit, which conveniently spell ET and F. To start with, I'd like to tell you about an email we received just this month, and I get a lot of emails. This individual wrote into ETF.com complaining about the rating for a specific fund, the iShares MSCI EFA Small Cap ETF, ticker SCZ. The emailer couldn't quite figure out how FactSet, our analytics partner, could rate this fund well when its performance had actually not been so great. And the question itself highlights the challenge here. If you were just chasing performance, SEC might not have been the fund for you. But honestly, chasing performance is almost always the wrong way to find a fund. And in this emailer's case, if they were looking for a good, solid, non-US developed market small cap ETF, SCZ might have been the cleanest, most easily tradable exposure for that corner of the market. And that's why it gets a great rating. And that's really the starting point of due diligence. It's not about performance, but it's about understanding what part of your asset management pie you're trying to fill with a given ETF. Nobody can promise you future performance, but what we can do is help you make the best choice for what you're actually trying to achieve. Here's the thing about choosing an ETF. There really isn't an easy button. You can have three funds in the same segment tracking the exact same universe of securities, but differences in how those stocks are picked or how much weight is given to them, how the fund's constructed, how expensive it is, could mean that those three funds all give you very different experiences. At ETF.com, we're not going to tell you what to buy. We're going to try and give you the tools so that you can choose the best funds for you for your needs. So what's the easy button? What is it that investors reach for? Well, a lot of investors just buy the biggest fund in a given segment, or even worse, they just buy the ticker they know. And that's often a mistake. Let's look at an example. So here's biotech. Out of the top 5 largest ETFs in the biotech space, here's the best performing fund. And now let's add the worst performing fund. Now that's a 12.5% difference. Not exactly hot dog money, right? There's a real difference here. When you add the other 3 big funds in here, you can see that there's just a really wide range of returns. So why is that? Well, let's look at some of the underlying factors. BBH here is an international fund, so there's a different geographic exposure to play. The largest fund in the space, the iShares NASDAQ Biotech ETF, IBB, only looks at stocks listed on NASDAQ, and it's cap weighted. The Invesco Dynamic Biotechnology and Genome ETF, PBE, has got a tiered smart beta system that really only overlaps the core segment benchmark here by about 50%. None of these funds even track the same index. And if you're just thinking about the cost, well, there's a 24 basis point difference here between the cheapest and most expensive fund. So as an investor, what do you do with these kinds of wide choices? How do you choose a fund out of the more than 2,300 options on the market? Or even just between these big 5 biotech funds? So let's start the process just by using one of my favorite things we have here at ETF.com, our fund screener. Now you can get to this page just by typing ETF.com/finder into your search bar, or you can navigate from the tools and data part of our menus. Once you're here, you can approach things in a few ways. First, down here, you can change how many funds you want to look at a time. So maybe you want to look at 10, maybe you want to look at 100. And in these tabs at the top, you can choose what data you want to see of the funds that you've searched for. If you make an ETF.com account, which is free, you can even build your own custom display here as well. And over on the left, there are dozens of ways to narrow down your search from these 2,300 ETFs. So let's say we just want to focus on biotech. Well, we can narrow it down to equities. And then here under category, we can pick sector funds, then healthcare, then biotech. That's a simple way, and it gets to a pretty manageable list of 16 funds. But let's say we only want to focus on the US companies. Well, we can go under location, then geography, and then select US. That gets us down to 13. Now I can just tell by looking we have some leveraged and inverse funds here, so let's maybe pull those out. And now we have a list of 7 funds. And we can compare these funds in all sorts of metrics here, from performance to how they've been gathering assets, or even their environmental, social, and governance scores from MSCI. You can also use much less obvious combinations of search criteria. Using that menu on the left, you could search for anything from PE to a specific issuer to average spreads. But let's say this is the universe of funds we want to compare. We can dig into the individual funds here just by clicking on their tickers. So let's look at the cheapest one, XBI. And now we're at a fund page. Here you can dive deep into everything about this fund. In future videos, we're going to walk through what you can find on each part of this page and discuss how each section can help you make a better decision about what funds you want to invest in by analyzing the efficiency of a fund, or how it trades, or how its actual exposure might fit into your portfolio. But for now, I hope this has given you at least a framework for finding that group of funds you want to compare, and maybe finding that one that's going to be the next great addition to your portfolio. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll watch the rest of the videos in the series.